Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from deltacx.com, and if I'm covered in chocolate, please let me know because thanks to you, I've been eating chocolate chips. Oh my gosh. Not ready for my own live show. Welcome to episode 162, Is UX a Skill? And this is in response to something I hear so often from people who are in the realm of Agile and Scrum. They say, UX is just a skill and anybody can have that skill, so anybody can do UX. It's a little bit of syllogism soup. So I'm going to be reading an article that I wrote today to answer that question. And of course, as I'm reading it, please comment live in the chat. I'm watching all the chat stuff, and I would love to hear your comments and questions as I go. I'm really hoping we get some Agile and Scrum people so that they can ask their questions as well. Hey, Jacques, good to see you. If you have chocolate you're supposed to share, you are a little far away. You are a good 9 time zones away, I believe. Do I still have chocolate on me? So, hey, Craig T. So, of course, thanks as always to the people who pay for the chocolate, the low ego action heroes who press the join button over on YouTube. Of course, it's totally optional, but greatly appreciated that you're giving some money to me every month. Thanks. I appreciate that super much. Hey, Eduardo. Hello. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the on-screen comments so I can switch us over to sharing my screen. Which is always fun. Hey, Manuel. It's not a show without Manuel. What are we going to do when he stops coming? We'll be like, oh, okay, great. So here's me. Here's the optional tip jar if in case anyone does super chat or super stickers, which I wouldn't know about because I don't have my headphones on. So you have to see it in the chat. Chat room, me. Page. Now, this is a Medium article, so if you're interested in it, you want to share it out to people, you can find it. Just Google for Debbie Levitt. Medium, is UX a skill? I bet it'll come right up. So I'm going to be voice acting it, and I will stop at normal break points in the article to react to any of the comments or questions in the chat. So comment away, everybody, get involved. Alrighty, here we go. Is UX a skill or a skill with activities? There are many Agile coaches, Scrum masters, and others in tech who say that UX is not a job or a role. It might not even be a specialty. They often say that UX is a skill that anybody can have. They usually agree that you need this skill on the Agile or product team. The idea is that if it's just a skill, and anybody can have that skill or do those activities, then we might not need UX staff. Anybody can do UX work. Let's practice our critical thinking and break this down. Is UX a skill? If UX is one or more skills or activities, is it okay for the work to be by someone with low skill? Got a little stock photo of a gauge, and it says, we should not settle for those with low skills or abilities doing any work that requires those skills. We should always want, if not demand, world-class 5 stars out of 5 work. Okay. Is UX a skill? In July 2022, I was interviewed on an Agile podcast, and this topic came up. I asked the co-hosts, if UX is a skill, can you please tell me what that skill is? They started naming common UX deliverables, documentation, and artifacts. I heard journey maps, personas, prototypes, screens, and talking to people. While it is correct that those are documents and artifacts that CX and UX researchers and designers create, these are technically not skills. When these documents are perceived as the skill, the standard for the documents is usually, did someone create these? Do they exist? These aren't skills because these are the outputs and documentation of the execution of skills. Let me say that again. These aren't skills. They are outputs and documentation of the execution of skills. If UX is not a single skill, what are some of the skills? Prototyping is the tangible output of skills, including information architecture, interaction design, knowledge of human behavior and some cognitive psychology knowledge, problem finding, problem solving, deductive reasoning, logic, being able to put your ego and preferences aside so that you're designing for the target audience and their needs, no matter what you personally like or prefer. The execution of those skills is tangibly seen in sketches, wireframes, or a prototype. Executing these skills poorly might still result in a wireframe or prototype, but that doesn't mean that you have a good idea, concept, or design. The inputs of the prototype will be the qualitative and quantitative research data that we have, the business strategies and goals that we must consider, and the skills, talent, and expertise that each person brings. Another skill here would be knowing what to do with the research data and the business strategies. Some of the skills involved in UX research include planning the research, choosing the right methodology from many possible methods, planning the correct questions, planning the tasks we should observe, choosing the right and statistically significant number and types of participants, executing the sessions with a good neutrality and interviewing style, observing and noticing things others miss, being a mini detective, analyzing all of this data, bringing it together to report on insights, pain points, and opportunities. Someone who doesn't have one or more of these skills could still do research, in air quotes, but is unfortunately likely to be it's a garbage study with flawed results. You can talk to users, but that doesn't mean you did research well and are setting the team and project in the right direction. This is a more accurate look at UX research work. Is this an activity? Well, it's a pile of tasks requiring a mountain of skills, so please don't downplay or minimize it by calling it an activity. Before I continue, we'll just check the chat. Carl says, well, UX is not a skill, but an inherent part of user interaction. User experience is the sum of all possible or anticipated experiences of a user with a product or brand. That's design. I'm talking about a whole bunch of things. All right, back to the article. Now we're starting to see that it's about skills and the quality of the work that was done. If UX's coworkers understood the skills that went into creating these documents, they would recognize that the documents are not the skills. It would be like saying an important skill that you need to be a doctor is patient charts. A good doctor might put good, relevant, and actionable information into a patient's chart. A not so good or lower skilled doctor might put incorrect information into a patient chart. Therefore, the skill here is not that someone typed words into the patient's records. The skill is how the patient information was obtained, how the conclusions were arrived at, and how this will be communicated so that anybody seeing the records is well informed and knows what to do next. If we didn't have a good understanding of what it takes to be a professional chef, we might imagine that if we put food on a plate and make it attractive, we too must be a professional chef. Just like making yourself some breakfast does not mean that you have the skills of a professional chef, creating documents or artifacts that are normally made by UX professionals and experts does not mean that you have created these well or that you have approached the work with the skills and proficiency that a specialist would. Very often, if someone creates a customer journey map, even if the information going into that customer journey map was completely guessed, made up, or incorrect, we celebrate that we now have a customer journey map. We appear to have no interest in what skills, techniques, or methods were used in making that customer journey map. If we have a document, we did a thing, and that thing is finished. I've even seen companies believe that if they just send their staff to a customer journey mapping course or workshop, they'll have all their CX initiatives in place and customer problems solved. Customer journey maps start with research and then require deep strategic problem solving and other skills. If these were not utilized in the making of the map might be garbage. Can UX skills or activities be done by people with low skills or proficiency? For our second critical thinking question, we must look at what are the standards that will help us know when the work was done well versus when this work was not done well. For research artifacts, consider the earlier list with some of the common skills. We should be asking if these artifacts were made with a correct scientific research approach. Were our documents made without bias, guesses, assumptions, untested hypotheses, and anything we imagined about our users, customers, target audiences, and their behaviors, needs, and tasks? Therefore, the standard for UX research done well is not, did you find some customers and ask them some questions? The standard should be, were all of the actual skills required for UX research work done thoroughly and correctly? Were all of the tasks required for UX research to be done well, executed thoroughly and correctly? If we take a look at our prototyping skills earlier in the article, sorry, I have a bug flying around me. This is no fun. I've got two. Sorry. If we take a look at our prototyping skills earlier in the article, then we must understand that our standards for this work go way beyond, does someone know how to put together some screens in a software tool that will publish a prototype? We're looking for people using knowledge and proficiency in skills like information architecture and interaction design. We might also look for skills related to your domain, industry, or vertical, such as information architecture and interaction design for enterprise systems, mobile responsive websites, apps, and e-commerce. Conclusion. Anyone who says that UX is a single individual skill is factually incorrect. It would be like saying that all of software engineering is a skill. UX is a skill, is easily disproven, and should be easy for people to successfully debate against. Perhaps we can agree that UX is a set of skills. Perhaps we can agree that UX has multiple jobs or specialties. UX isn't one thing, like engineering isn't one thing. UX research, content design, architecture and design work, and visual design are four separate areas of UX that, at some companies, are completely separate jobs. Perhaps we can agree that UX includes separate sets of UX skills for each specialty within UX. Perhaps we can agree that the outputs and documentation of each UX task are not the skills themselves. The real ability of a UX professional lies in the work, not in the documentation of the work. Skills and proficiency can be measured. A UX research expert can tell good work from bad. They can tell a well-planned, well-executed, and well-analyzed research study from one that is lacking in one or more of these areas. Help! I've got a bug on me. Where was I? The skill of a product manager is not, do we have a roadmap? One of their many skills is in the quality of that roadmap. The best person to determine who has any particular skill at a level of proficiency where we would want them to do that work is the expert in that area. An expert product manager is the best, if not the only person, to decide who in a non-product role is showing enough product management skill that it would be good to have the non-product person take over some product management work. A highly qualified and experienced UX researcher, preferably senior or lead level or higher, should be the person deciding if someone who is not a UX researcher should be doing UX research. An Agile coach, Scrum Master, or another non-UX role is extremely unlikely to have the UX skills to know who has UX skills and should do this work. Same for the other UX specialist roles. They know best who has the skills to do their specialized work. But believing that UX is a skill that anybody can do would solve our bottleneck problem. When critical thinking is applied, only one conclusion tends to be drawn. If there is a bottleneck on your UX team, if you're being held up because there aren't enough researchers, content strategists, architects, or designers, never give this work to people who lack the proficiency and skill to do it well. You do not solve other roles' bottlenecks by giving their specialized work to low-skilled people. Doing this work poorly should be in our risk register or risk documentation. Fun side note, adding something to a risk register doesn't necessarily mean you are highly skilled at finding or mitigating risk. Maybe someone else found the risk and will mitigate it, and you're just documenting it. If your QA engineers were all out sick and you asked someone from marketing to do some automated QA on the dev build, which would never happen, you would surely put it in your risk register. QA work being done by people who might have no skill would certainly be a risk to the project, if not also to the product and the company. It would also not make sense for QA professionals to stop their mission-critical work to try to teach marketing how to create automated QA tests. Yet when UX is short-staffed, non-UX roles expect overworked UX people to stop their mission-critical work and start teaching others something that takes years to be good at. To solve for bottlenecks, we typically either temporarily borrow a talented professional from another team to try to get past the bottleneck, or we just work on getting the budget to hire and add to the team. The same should be done for UX. Hire more qualified UX practitioners until there is no bottleneck. Don't pretend that UX is just a single skill or a few activities that anybody can do. We want these done well, not just done. We should also gently remind the Agile coaches, Scrum masters, and non-UX roles that they're not in a position to make declarations or mandates around UX professionals, processes, work, or skills. UX is a separate domain that requires autonomy. If you like self-managing teams, you need to please let UX manage itself and make decisions in its domain. If you're working in an organization that has declared that UX is a skill, or UX is a few activities that are easy to learn and easy to do, I would suggest that you share this article with them. And scene. All right. So now we're just open to comments and questions. Thoughts, agreements, disagreements. Hello to Ix. Let's see, if I press this, will this be the right button? Yes, it was the right button. Well, thanks to everybody for listening to that. Hopefully you felt like it gave you a little bit of information. If you're in the Agile and Scrum world, hopefully you might consider no longer saying that UX is a skill that anybody can do. And if you're not, if you're in the UX or CX world, hopefully you might have a little bit more of an argument that you can make the next time somebody says, oh, what you do, that's just a skill. Anybody can do that. I can, I can watch a YouTube video and then do what you do. It's like, well, that's funny. Can I do that for your job? No? Why not? Bugs, where are they coming from? Guess it's still summer. Anyway, just in case people don't have questions or comments, let me tell you about some of the shows that are coming up. You can always check our online calendar, even while I'm sleeping. It's at deltacx.com/links. There's no bugs there. And you can also see how to join our free Slack or Discord communities, or both if you'd like. They're totally free. And please do subscribe and tell some friends about the channel. We are coming up on 6,000 subscribers, and we really count on you to spread the word because I think I'm still shadow banned on YouTube, so need a little help there. So, as we do on every Friday, tomorrow will be practicing critical thinking, where you've been sending in a pile of stuff. I have so many things to go over tomorrow, and we're going to break these things down with a fly swatter and think about them critically, see what's true or not, and what's garbage and what's not. Then Monday, we've got Think Out Loud, which I canceled this week. If you don't send me something for Think Out Loud, I'm probably going to cancel the show. So deltacx.com/links will tell you more about the Think Out Loud shows and how you can send something in. Tuesday should be office hours. Ask Us Anything. I have to check if Darren and Nick can still make it, but if not, certainly I'll be there to answer your questions. Wednesday the 14th. Oh, I'm so excited about this one. We've got Shannon Glenn, who's going to join us on September 14th. She is a UI manager at an agency. And she's going to talk about what she looks for when she interviews people for UI and visual design jobs. I know we don't always talk a lot about UI and visual design on this channel, but why not? Some of you specialize in that. Some of you prefer doing that. And some of you may want to know how to interview better. Blah, blah, blah. Not fun. And then we have a couple of other things coming up. Let's see. Hopefully Wednesday the 21st, we will have our rescheduled service design podcast. So mark calendars for that. And yeah, more stuff coming up. Joseph says, sorry about the bugs. Yeah, me too. I'm going to have to set an evil trap for them. Summer in a warm place. So if there's no comments or questions on the article, by the way, if you're watching the video later and you have a comment or question or disagreement, please write a comment under the video. I do answer everything personally, so all comments and questions are welcome. So in that case, I guess I will play us out of here, since I'm not sure that anybody's got anything to add, but thanks to the people who did join. And I'm going to go whip up a trap for bugs, since it appears to be me. Okay. Everybody be well, and I hope to see you in our Slack and Discord channels. Good luck fighting the Agile and Scrum people who want to say that your entire job that people get PhDs in is just a skill that anyone can get easily. And hopefully things will get better for you soon. Thanks. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are